Hey everyone, today I want to talk a little bit about conditions and forecasting as they pertain to safety and fishing conditions. So if I'm thinking about going out, the first site that I'm going to check is spitcast.com. And then what I'll do is specify area, and then I generally like to look at a 7-day so I can see the trend. This site is what I rely on when I initially think safety. Like I'm gonna question, hey, is it gonna be safe to go out there and will I return home safely? So this site will give you a quick visual on surf height, swell, and wind direction. Wind direction in particular is important. You want something under 10 miles per hour, and the direction you want it working in your favor when you are done fishing and you are paddling back in and you're fatigued. You want that wind at your back. Going beyond safety, if I want to get an idea of what the fishing conditions might be like on a day, then I will go to tidesforfishing.com. This site is incredibly thorough and detailed. Any imaginable element about the marine area or fishing, you're going to find on this website. So I'm just going to scroll down, and because it's so comprehensive, I'm just going to ramble about these elements. So I'll start with here, wind, 2 miles per hour, looks good. Temperature, humidity, visibility is important because when you're out there and fog rolls in, you want to be able to navigate under the cover of fog. So make sure you have some kind of GPS or compass device. I'm going to scroll down some more. Barometric pressure. If you're into the school of thought where fish are going to bite better if the pressure is falling or rising, here it is. UV index, pretty straightforward. Water temperature here. Generally speaking, the higher the water temperature, the more active the fish are going to be. Swell conditions shows you the direction from which the swells are going to be coming from. Height, wave period. This number, if you have a big number like 12, 16, you're going to have conditions where it's kind of gently rolling. If you have a small number like 3, 4, 7, it's going to be much more bumpy and choppy. We'll scroll down some more. This is basically more swells and tides and wind stuff. This shows you when high tide and low tide will be. If you are planning a beach launch, for example, then generally speaking, it's going to be easier to launch your kayak when you're dealing with a high tide. This is really interesting. This kind of summarizes when they think feeding activity is going to peak. So on this graph, fish will be active maybe around 6 a.m. And then again, there's a window from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. where they predict feeding activity is going to be high. Going down some more, this graph shows you when low tide and high tide is going to be. Generally speaking, if you're planning a beach launch, you want a high tide working with you. If you're looking to do something like tidal pool fishing, you want to go out at low tide. And if you see a negative number, that means it's going to be a low tide. So that's a good number for tidal pool fishermen. This next area I think is the most interesting. So this is a monthly graph. And this number here, they call the coefficient. And I think what they do is, depending on what the lunar phase is, it'll affect the tides and the water movement, the current, etc. And I think this coefficient number represents a composite of all those factors. So you will see numbers that vary from maybe like 30 on the low end to 100 on the high end. So for example, if you go out, and this is May, if you go out on the 7th, you're going to have a coefficient number that is 36. So if you believe in the science, then the fishing probably will not be that good. And then the coefficient number will peak out at 100, and that is on the 15th. This will kind of summarize it or break it down by day. So again, if you go out on the 7th, coefficient is 36. The fishing should just be okay. If you go out on the 14th or 15th, then you have a very high coefficient number, and the fishing action should be really, really good. So there you have it. When I'm thinking about going fishing, I will check out this site as well as this site, and then I'll have a pretty good idea of how safe I'm going to be and maybe how good the fishing will be. Of course, this is not an exact science. I've gone out on days where the coefficient number was just okay, and I've done really well. And I've gone out on days where the coefficient number is high and the fishing was just okay. But anyways, it'll give you some insight as to some of the factors that may affect your safety and fishing experience. So good luck.